Good evening, everybody. This is the Android Headline Show. We're going to be doing episode 57 tonight. It's going to be April 29th, 2014. Almost into May here. So we've got myself, Nick, and Alex tonight. Jeremiah won't be joining us, unfortunately. How's it going, Alex?
Pretty good. How about you?
Not too bad. I guess we'll have a little one-on-one commentary here.
Yep.
We'll start off with the headphones that we're giving away. I'll let you do that since you wrote that one up.
Let me dig out the headphones. Totally unprepared.
Shame on you.
So basically, we're giving away these headphones. Giveaway started Friday and it's lasting till Thursday. They're pretty nice headphones. Let's take them out real quick. So we got these right here. I think you should say Phaeton, the Bridge MS500, and comes with a pouch with a couple cords for each side. But yeah, we got that giveaway going on till I think Thursday at midnight is when it ends.
What kind of headphones are they? Are they just regular? Are they Bluetooth or what? I didn't even read up on them.
They're just regular headphones, no Bluetooth, unfortunately. Which for the price you'd expect them to have it, because it's like $350 or something.
Not bad. Well, they sound good, I guess, right?
Yeah, they sound really good.
There you go. And can't beat free anyway, so
yep.
Make sure you enter that contest. You go on the, if you check out the page, it'll be on the main page. If you want to go to the podcast post, it's the first link on that podcast post tonight. We can always throw an extra link to Google Plus too if you can't find it.
Yeah, but we do a giveaway like this every week, basically. Every Friday.
Cases, headphones, Bluetooth speakers. We've always got all kinds of interesting stuff.
Pretty much everything we get to review, we give away.
Except for phones.
Yeah, those we have to return.
Yeah, I'd love to say I could keep those too, but yeah, that doesn't happen.
Yeah.
Man, well, that's the good stuff starting out. So I'll give a little free stuff away. We'll jump right into the Google news here, though. Pretty suddenly, Vic, I think his last name is Gundotra.
Yep.
He decided he's going to be leaving Google, or at least maybe somebody decided it for him. Basically, Vic was the head of Google Plus and sort of the brainchild behind the whole thing. And now that he's gone, everyone's kind of wondering what the heck's going to happen to Google Plus and why he suddenly kind of left. If maybe somebody ticked him off because they're ending Google Plus, or they maybe changed it and took all his stuff away. A lot of rumors swirling around that little piece there. What do you think about it?
I don't think Google Plus is going anywhere. I mean, as much as Google has invested in it and integrated with everything, basically, especially search results, I don't see it going anywhere, at least not in the next couple of years, probably.
Yeah.
Larry Page even said that Google Plus isn't going anywhere, so I don't know why everybody's thinking it's leaving or dying. Or he said we're going to continue to invest in it in his post about Vic leaving the company. So.
Yep. I don't know. Well, people like to sensationalize everything, and I think it's pretty important to note that this is not Google's last social networking venture, which never went anywhere. Whereas Google Plus, at least in terms of traffic, is significant. I mean, just in general, it's what, the third, highest trafficked website, period?
I don't know about period, but as far as social networks go, I'm pretty sure it's right behind Facebook and Twitter.
Yeah, I guess that's true. Maybe I meant social networks.
Yeah, because YouTube is, I think, higher than both of them, actually.
Yeah, YouTube's pretty serious. I think the stuff that was really egging people on with them maybe getting rid of it was there's a new one that just came out, found it on, I think, The Verge. They have a little sign-in with Google button on some new, I don't know if they're beta applications or just developer trials or what, but instead of the Google Plus button where you click and you sign in with the Google Plus profile, it just says sign in with Google. So I don't know if that's just a rebranding, like maybe they're going to get rid of the name or change it in some applications.
Well, right now you have like the sign in with Google, which is from before Google Plus. Then you have the sign in with Google Plus. So maybe they're just merging those two together. Like with OpenID, some websites use that. It'll use sign in with Google, sign in with Facebook, sign in with basically anything else that you want. So I'm thinking it's just like they're merging it together. And we'll probably see more of that at I/O next month or in June.
Yeah, probably. I know. The only other thing I'm thinking of is, maybe they're doing this in some things because some people kind of freak out when they see the whole Google Plus thing, like, oh, I gotta sign up for this stupid social network thing or whatever, and they don't want a part of it. So maybe they're trying to lessen the blow while still providing the same back end.
Like I try to get people to use Google Plus, not to use it as like a social network, but
Yeah,
to use it with their phone for backing up pictures. Because I mean, you
sure.
get a lot more space than you would on Dropbox. It's unlimited unless you do full size. Uh, Dropbox isn't. It's I think with all the referrals and stuff, I think the max you can get is like 20 without getting a phone that gives you 50 gigs or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, and Chromebook will give you 100 gigs, and there's all
Yeah.
kinds of ways to get free drive storage on there.
Yep.
Yeah, it's just an overall great service, and I can't tell you how many great pictures I've gotten out of Auto Awesome. Just all the collages they make, the GIFs, all the stuff they do. It's Auto Awesome's great. So that's a reason enough to use Google Plus. The other big thing that Google's been doing, or at least what's rumored, is this OK Google Everywhere thing, which is basically a huge update to Google Plus that provides some kind of Moto X-like functionality. And I don't know, we don't know if that's going to be restricted to just certain devices, maybe ones with like a Snapdragon 800, for instance, because that's got an always listening chip on there.
Yep.
The other thing with this, what were we going to say?
I was gonna say it sounds like a lot like touchless control on the Moto X and the Droid that came out last year, but it's like baked into the Google Search app because it's baked into Google Now. And I mean, I don't know if touchless control is maybe like a experiment to see how everybody thought it, like how everybody liked it, and then Google decided to adopt it or what. But I love touchless control, so it's a good feature.
It is a sweet feature, and I'm wondering if they do end up implementing this on more devices, what kind of battery hit it's going to take. Because
if it's the Snapdragon 800, it probably won't take that much of one because, like you said, it already has it built in. Just nobody's really using it. Well,
yeah,
Samsung uses it, or at least the Note really did, but it didn't really work because of S voice.
Yeah, it's really limited too. Anyway.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, the Moto X, Motorola custom designed that chip for this stuff.
Yep.
I know I have a couple. My brother has it. Sister-in-law, father-in-law have a Moto X, and they use that thing all the time. It's great. It really is a fantastic feature. And then the other part of this story was the modularity. Basically, they're talking about sort of how Android is already modular in the way that you can switch out your dialer, your launcher, your browser, whatever. This is adding to that, and it's basically they're going to have different actions. I don't know if you read up on that stuff or not.
The modular stuff, I'm not really sure like what Google's going for with it. I think I'd have to wait to see more rumors and stuff about it.
Yeah.
But the part that I was really interested about are the new soft keys that they showed off. Well, these are mock-ups, but basically it's a back and then a Google button. I guess I'm not sure if it's the home button or the search. And there's the reasons on the other side. So it's like they spend all the time getting rid of search just to bring it back.
Yeah, not really sure. I know when they got rid of the search button back in from Gingerbread to ICS, I remember how ticked off I was because I use that thing all the time in Gingerbread. And then eventually they brought back Google Now, and now, yeah, you're right. It seems like they're coming full circle back to it, just sort of redesigned it.
I was kind of surprised that they got rid of the search button in the first place because that's, you know, their bread and butter right there.
Yeah, it didn't make a lot of sense to me either.
Is search and ads.
Exactly. Yeah, it's really pretty bizarre. But I don't know. In general, if any of this stuff comes to light, we'll definitely see it at I/O, and I'm definitely excited about the touchless control stuff that ends up panning out. I want to touch on the carrier stuff just real quick. It's pretty quick news anyway. We got two things here. AT&T with their GoPhone plans, basically giving you more data without a price increase. So for $60 a month, you go from 2 to 2.5 gigs, and then the $40 a month plan is basically double, from 250 to 500. And then if you go to Walmart, I guess they have a $45 plan where you get a gig. So if you use any of the prepaid plans, that's probably a pretty good option to go. Like AT&T network, AT&T's network is pretty solid anymore. And then StraightTalk, which I believe is T-Mobile's network, right?
You can choose AT&T or T-Mobile.
Okay. It works similar to T-Mobile. I think that's why I was thinking that. But that one is you get the unlimited 3 gigs, and then they basically drop you down to like 2G speeds after you hit that within a month.
And they also have nano SIM cards now, so you can use the HTC One, the Moto X, the iPhone. I think that's all that has nano SIMs right now.
Yeah. Yep. Not too bad. And the prepaid thing seems to be really taking off. I know there's a lot of different ones out there. You have new ones that seem to be popping up every other month. So
yeah, it's always good to get more data without price increases, and it was nice to see it from 2 carriers in the same week.
Yep, exactly. And it's good to see it because it's kind of related. We got a question here. AJ asks, what's your opinion on Sony's approach for the Xperia Z2 being sold only from their website in America versus with the carriers? I don't know. It's not like the prepaids are all that big now, so we probably won't see. Like this isn't necessarily a great idea for Sony if they wanted to sell a lot. Is what I'm trying to say here. So,
especially at that price.
Yeah, it doesn't help.
Because I think right now it's listed at like $900 or something. I know it's unlocked, but still, I mean, the HTC One and the S5 are both like around $650, I think.
Yeah, I don't know what it's really just it's so frustrating because we had the Z1S that just launched on T-Mobile in January. I think it was mid-January.
Yep.
And that was a good price too. It was like $530, $550, something like that when it first came out.
Yeah, it was like right below 550. It was like some weird number.
Yeah, it was bizarre. I remember that, but it was nice to not see a brand new phone for $600 or $700.
Yeah.
It was at least a little bit discounted. So.
And the Z2 really isn't all that much different. It's a little bit bigger screen, I think.
Yep.
Probably a slightly improved camera, even though it's still a 20.7 megapixel.
Yeah, I think the sensor's a little bit better on it.
It's got a Snapdragon 801, 3 gigs of RAM, I think. So it's like an iterative change, like the S4 and the S5 are. Except for these are only 6 months apart, not a year.
Yeah, and even less in the U.S. since T-Mobile's the only one that got the Z1.
Yeah, so it was like 3 months.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I don't know. It's really disappointing because I have a couple of friends that were really interested in the device. They're on AT&T, but I mean, I guess you can get it. So I suppose that's better than what we've had before, where you really haven't been able to get Sony stuff. But it's still not a great option. I definitely want to see them try to at least get on any one of the carriers.
They said late last year, I believe it was, that they really aren't focusing on the US right now. And then shortly after that, they pretty much replaced all their Sony mobile US people. And then the Z1S came to T-Mobile like within a week of it being announced. So we thought we saw a turnaround, and then the Z2 happened, and it went back to being Sony.
I think it was pretty surprising after the Z1, like you said, it was like I don't know, I kind of thought it was like, all right, well, maybe they're turning a new leaf, they're going to do something different, but.
And they announced They announced the Z1 in September, then the Z1S in January, so there's only about 3 or 4 months in between, which is a lot quicker than they usually are.
Yeah. Who knows? And we also have this thing with T-Mobile where they bought the 700 megahertz block off of Verizon a while ago, but it was finally approved by the FCC, which for those of us on T-Mobile, I'm sure that makes you very happy, because it will probably make me happy if it actually affects me.
It's supposed to bring like coverage to, I think it's like 100 million more people, and it's supposed to improve coverage in a few cities. The one that I really looked at and cared about, of course, was my own. So I know it's coming here, Dallas, Fort Worth, Austin, a few other places in Texas. I forget all the other cities. They didn't list them all though. But it's gonna be good for it.
Bunch of bigger cities, basically.
It'll be good for indoor service because they're using it for LTE as their, I think, third band. And it'll be their lowest too.
Yeah, exactly. And pretty much lower the better with this stuff. Gets in the building better.
Yeah, it says it'll cover approximately 158 million pops, including Atlanta, Dallas, Detroit, Houston, Los Angeles, New York City, Philadelphia, and Washington, D.C. So
Yep.
that's a pretty big deal. I mean, that's 158 people, 158
Exactly.
million people.
Exactly. I like it.
Oh, yeah.
The other thing we saw before we move into more of the official hardware stuff, we had the LG G3 leak. Just the back, though. It was the buttons, the camera, the flash, and what looks like is probably a heart rate sensor.
Yeah. Um, we've seen the same pic. Well, we saw it again today. Leaks leaked it today, and
Yeah.
it's like a smaller portion of the phone that was leaked out. Basically from like the LG logo on up. I'm not crazy about the redesign. I mean, it's not a huge redesign, because basically, like looking at the G2, the buttons are more curved and the power button is round
Yep.
on that one. But I
The
mean,
volume buttons on the G3 don't look like they would be as comfortable.
yeah,
They,
I don't know.
you can't see it from the side, so maybe they are contoured, but at least in this picture, they look like they're all flat, which that's probably going to get pretty confusing.
I wonder if that on the other side is a speaker and not a flash, because it's hard to tell exactly what it is.
It is. I don't know.
Because right now the speaker's on the bottom and it's adequate, but it's not all that good.
No.
Especially after using the M8.
It looks like it's right. It looks like it's too small to be a speaker. I mean, I'm just thinking heart rate sensor
Yeah.
because after we saw the UI last week, it was like, okay, they're sticking with the Samsung inspired stuff again. So I wouldn't be surprised.
And the thing is, like, every phone can do heart rate just with the flash. Doesn't even need the extra
Yeah.
hardware, really.
Exactly. Well, that's really all it is. I mean, it's not
So
anything special.
I was kind of hoping LG would realize that and not waste their money.
Yeah.
But then
No.
they'd have to put in a health app because they don't have anything like S Health. At least not on the G2.
No, and they announced today, well, sort of announced, it was an official confirmation from LG Europe, but they said the G Watch is coming in June, no specific day in June, but that it'll be 199 euros, which is cheaper than, I don't know, at least I thought it was going to be. Pleasant surprise.
Did they also basically confirm that the G3 is coming in 2 months? So
I
there's
think
that.
so, yeah.
And what was that? Their earnings, they did like 319% increase over this time
Yeah.
last year.
It was very impressive. I was very happy
Yeah.
because I like them a lot.
I didn't really like them that much until the G2.
No, I didn't either. I mean, after the Nexus 4, I was like, huh, maybe LG's not too bad. And then the G2 came out, and it was like, maybe LG's pretty awesome.
Yeah, because like
Yeah.
I never used the Optimus G because that was before I really started working here. I used the G Pro, and that was a pretty decent device. Only bad thing was it was an exclusive, so not everybody could get it.
Yep.
And then the G2 came out, and when I was reviewing it, man, I loved that phone. I mean, well, for me, battery life is probably one of the bigger things, along with the camera and the size of the phone. Because I really liked the Note 3 because it was just so big, coming from like the Nexus 4.
Yep. Yeah, and I think at least with the G2, that's a pretty universally loved phone. I know a lot of people hate the skin, but the phone overall,
Yeah.
I don't know really any Android enthusiast that doesn't at least recognize that it's an awesome phone.
I'd probably say it's one of the more underrated phones of last year. The HTC First, I'd say that one is too, because that phone was awesome especially for a mid-range thing. Because it was stock Android. Just turn off Facebook Home and you're good.
There you go. That'll work. My point about the G Watch earlier, though, is I don't think it has a heart rate sensor either, does it? Because I know it doesn't have a camera.
As far as I know, it doesn't.
Yeah.
Does that mean that it doesn't, though?
Yeah, and I'm wondering if it's got a pedometer, too, because
Probably does.
the G2 doesn't have it, right?
Mm-mm.
I didn't think so. I don't know.
But
That's something I thought was interesting that was kind of missing from some of this stuff. I didn't hear that about the Moto 360 either.
I'd be surprised if either one of those came out without some sort of way to track your steps or whatever, or anything health related at all. Because I mean, you can get a smartwatch and a fitness tracker and combine it into one.
Yeah,
There you go.
that's kind of what I was thinking. Just another selling point on the list because pretty much anything Android Wear at this point looks pretty sick.
Yeah, and Fitbit was trying to do that with the Force, but then they had to recall it because we were getting rashes from the material they used.
Yeah, I do remember hearing about that. Yep.
I was gonna buy one until that happened, and I decided not to.
Yeah, they'll fix it, I'm sure.
Oh yeah.
It's a matter of somebody screwed up somewhere with that. I don't know.
Yep.
We got a question about the M8 Prime.
Yeah, that came out a little bit earlier today, about probably a couple hours ago.
Yeah.
Let me see if I can find the post real quick on the site because I didn't write it up. But basically, Evleek said that that's the phone that we want, and that's about it. He didn't say post any pictures or anything.
Yeah.
A lot of people are thinking it's the HTC One M8 Max, which it could be, because we've already seen stuff for the Mini, as well as I don't know if the Mini and the Ace are the same thing or not, but we've seen stuff for the M8 Ace, and then now the Prime. So maybe they're kind of doing what Samsung's doing and just putting a whole one M8 family together. Last year they did the S4 Zoom, S4 Active, S4 Mini, and then the S4.
Too many. And none of them were at least decent except for the S4, really.
The Active was decent.
Oh, I forgot about. I'm sorry. The Active was the same as the S4 basically.
It had an LCD display and 8 megapixel camera, so it was better in my opinion because it didn't have AMOLED.
Well, I'm thinking the camera was probably better.
Well,
I don't know. I didn't
Samsung
use it
camera.
though, so I'm not gonna talk about it.
It was still a Samsung camera, so it was just lower megapixel.
Yeah, we'll see. Who knows? The M8 Prime though, I'm almost wondering because we've had these rumors of the S5 Prime, and they just keep getting more and more and more. Like they're not going away. We're getting more. It seems like every day we get something new about it. So I'm wondering if they're doing that too. Like, I mean, the M8 is already top of the line. Really, the only thing I could think of they could improve over it would be maybe the camera.
Only thing I could think of that can improve on the M8 is probably the camera, the size of the battery, and I mean you could put 3 gigs of RAM in there, but I don't think you really need it.
Yeah.
Especially with how lightweight Sense 6 is. But that's really all I can think of. I mean, maybe make it a little bit shorter. That's my really only complaint is how tall it is.
Yeah. They're not going to do that with like a luxury model or whatever like Samsung's doing.
Yeah. I'm almost wondering if maybe these two are part of that Android Silver stuff we've been seeing, where basically is Google picking out like flagships from their hardware partners and basically promoting them like in different retail channels and stuff with stock Android on it and better support and stuff. So I wonder if maybe all the Prime stuff is for Android Silver.
I don't know. That's a good question. I mean, if the Ace ends up being the Mini, then I'm sure the Prime will end up being the Max kind of thing.
Yeah. Hopefully you don't put a fingerprint reader on behind or below the camera this time.
We shall see. I'm sure we'll get plenty more rumors as it comes along. My particular favorite point of tonight is going to be our little OnePlus One session here, because I am beyond stoked for this freaking phone. Like, I was already hyped for it because I bought into all the crap that they've been putting out for like the last 4 months.
Did you smash your phone yet?
No, I'm not smashing my phone. I actually considered smashing my wife's Nexus 4 to get one, but it's not on the list. Not that there's anything wrong with the Nexus 4, but it's like a $150 device now.
The thing I have, like the problem I have with their smash this device thing contest thing is like basically all the devices on the list are like less than a year old.
Yeah.
So you can sell that on SwapUp for probably about $500-600 because even the S5 is on there. So say you bought an S5 last week and you want the OnePlus now, just swap for like 600, buy a 64 gigabyte OnePlus One, and you still have like 200
Yep.
bucks left, 250.
That's my plan for this thing.
Mm-hmm.
I will be selling that for hopefully 500. We'll see how that goes, and then then I got extra 150 bucks. Maybe I'll buy a Moto 360 instead of the G Watch.
I don't know if it's gonna be that cheap.
Well, not for 150, but I mean,
Yeah.
Instead of just buying the G Watch, I have the extra plus whatever I get for the gear, kind of thing.
Yep.
I don't know. This phone, it's freaking sick. I don't want to gush about it too much, but it's hard.
And this comes from the guy that's owned every single Galaxy Note.
Yes, I can't. I have been looking for a reason to get rid of Samsung forever, and I don't really know why this is any different from anything else. I think I'm just sick and tired enough, and now this has finally come along, and it's a great excuse to do it. But
yeah.
I don't know. Basically, if anyone out there is watching or listening and hasn't heard about it, it's top of the line phone. It's literally everything that you're going to find in the S5, the HTC One, the Xperia Z2. Same processor, all that stuff, 3 gigs of RAM. It's got 16 and 64 gig models, 13 megapixel, kind of top of the line camera. A really nice Sony sensor on that, and a 6-element lens. The whole thing goes for that's off contract. That's not subsidized. That's straight from the manufacturer. I think the only downside I can find to this thing is the bands that it supports. A lot of people are saying that it doesn't support all the UMTS bands. So if you don't have LTE coverage in certain areas, you might be hosed, depending on your carrier.
I looked at the T-Mobile ones, and the only one it doesn't support is the band that they just bought from Verizon. So for now, we're fine. But
okay.
By the end of the year, when they start rolling that out, we're gonna want that. Especially
probably.
indoors.
But I'm not using it now, so I guess in that case it wouldn't really change too much for me. No, what's that?
The OnePlus One doesn't have an SD card slot, right?
No, it does not. That's
so.
Probably the only other downside. I know. I've seen a couple of hands-on from people that were over in China that were able to get a hold of one, which we'll get into that in a second. But basically, the only downsides I can see are maybe that, and then the SD card slot. I'm trying to remember if there's anything else you can think of it. If you don't like a 5.5-inch display, maybe you'll hate that.
The other thing that I didn't like about OnePlus One, while we're talking about the display,
sure,
is I think it was a couple of months ago. I think in February when the Z2 was actually announced, is that OnePlus One, they put out a picture of the display of the Xperia Z1 and said that it was covering up the OnePlus One.
I do recall that.
Now the Xperia Z1 is a 5.1-inch display, and the OnePlus One is 5.5. Now, if it's really that small, those bezels should be a whole lot smaller. And when they compared it to the Note 3, it was about the same size.
Yeah, it's a little less wide, I think. That's about it.
It's like a millimeter shorter, too.
Yeah, it's basically a Note 3.
Yep.
Is what it is.
But the cool thing is that you can have capacitive or on-screen buttons.
I thought that was cool.
And the bottom bezel isn't too huge if you don't use the capacitive buttons. But I'd probably use them anyways.
Yeah, when I do eventually get one, because I'm really dead set on this thing, I'm gonna have to try them both out and see what I like better. But I'm thinking if it's the same size as this, I don't know how much you use the Note 3, but I hit the stupid back or menu buttons all the time when I'm holding it, because you got to hold it like this. It's a little weird because I'm holding it backwards, but your palms hit the capacitive keys. And if it's about the same size as this, I imagine the bezel on the bottom will be too. So I'd love to turn those stupid things off just so I'm not constantly hitting them.
I'm trying to remember how big the bezel was on the Note 3 on the bottom.
There's hardly one at all. This thing has a really small bezel. It's basically nothing.
It's smaller than the S5, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
I thought so.
Yeah, they kind of went backwards on the S5. I don't know if it has to do with the screen or what, but I thought it was interesting that happened. Gosh, let's see what else. Oh yeah, this thing is CyanogenMod mod powered. So the Oppo N1 was the first phone to ship with CyanogenMod. But this is the first phone that has an actual custom version of CyanogenMod. So it's CM11S, which is based off of KitKat. And they have a whole bunch of custom stuff in there. Crazy looking camera software, which just has pretty much every feature you can think of, including 4K video. God, what else? I can't even remember. Custom. They have a separate lock screen that looks pretty sweet. Theme engine, different gallery app. You can check out a whole bunch of stuff on the site, so I don't have to go into all of it.
They also have removable backs, which can be replaced, and they have like wood ones. There's a Kevlar one here. There's one that looks like it's denim.
Yep, denim is one of them.
Which if they have an ebony one like they had for the Moto X, I'd probably get that one. Because I want nice on the Moto X.
It's a really awesome concept. I like that one a lot.
I think they took that from Motorola and kind of made it better because you can take it off and replace it.
Exactly, and that's perfectly fine with me. I like the whole customizable back because I hate cases on my phones.
Because Motorola kind of fixed that in the Moto G by doing replaceable backs.
Yep,
that's probably because it was so cheap, though.
That's all right. Whatever works for it. Let's see. What's the other thing on this that I wanted to cover? Oh, yeah, the whole Oppo thing. So the other thing that's been going on with OnePlus, if you haven't been following OnePlus out there, basically the company started in November. It coincided with, I think his name is Peter Lau. He left Oppo and started this company and basically said that they're going to be focusing on the consumer and bringing the best device for the best price, etc., etc. We ended up with this thing, and conveniently enough, it looks exactly like an Oppo Find 7. If you hold them up together, pretty much the only difference is the logos on the back and maybe slight differences in the way the camera looks, and that's really about it. If you look at the front of the device, it's almost identical. I think the camera's on the other side of the microphone.
Yeah.
So.
And OnePlus only has like 11 people and like employees. I don't know if that's counting CyanogenMod or not because it's supposed to be like a joint venture and stuff.
Yeah.
But Oppo Electronic is supposed to be like a primary investor for both companies. So it's like Samsung decided. It's kind of like if Samsung decided to put out a new brand, like they turned Galaxy into an actual company.
Yeah.
Did that. I don't really get why they did it because they're both still selling phones.
Yeah, it's kind of a weird move for me. I don't know why Oppo wouldn't just release this device. I think the best thing, I've read a couple of different articles on this around the web, just opinion pieces and stuff, and the one that makes the most sense to me that I can come up with is that Oppo decided that their brand worked in some places and not in others, like the U.S., where there's almost nobody here knows about Oppo, except unless you're a really high-end electronics person, or you like their phones, I guess.
We're on Google Plus.
Yeah, exactly. And so instead of trying to rebrand themselves or whatever, they just decided, all right, well, we're just going to spin off a new company, and we'll have them do this crazy social media thing, and they basically went nuts with the social media promotions. They had all kinds of crazy things. You got the smash your phone promotion. I mean, they just pretty much every trick in the book they pulled with this new company, regardless of who owns it. And now they're giving us what seems to be the ultimate phone. So, I don't know. I don't really care where the money comes from or who owns it or whatever. If anything, I guess it's just fun for people to gossip about and come up with some crap. But this thing's basically a Find 7 for $350 with CyanogenMod on it.
And not
see the downside.
And no 50 megapixel camera.
Well,
or
that's
2560 by 1440 display.
Yeah, we had the Find 7 and the 7A, and then the 50 megapixel thing is like a software trick, but
because
it make nice pictures.
The Google camera now does 50 megapixel photosphere, so.
Yep. Yeah, I don't know. Very very interesting little thing that happened there. So, best guess is basically somewhere around June or so for release. Looks like the initial invites are going to get it next month. And then we're guessing general availability will be in June. So keep an eye out on the site. I will make sure I do my best to keep everyone informed because I want this thing as bad as I'm sure everybody else does. So that's about that. We've also got the S5 review. If you want to talk about that a little, I'll add some stuff in there too, because I know you have an S5, so I'll let you add any extra stuff you had over the last week.
Tony did our review for the Galaxy S5 because he actually got his on launch day, and well, we didn't. But I've had the Galaxy S5 for about a week and a half now, I'd say. I think I got it the day of or the day before last week's show, so I didn't get a whole lot of time with it. But the first thing is like the back. It's not as bad as I thought it would be. It's the soft touch plastic. It's a lot less slippery than that Galaxy S4 is. It may not be pretty, but I actually do like it. The gold one doesn't look as good though, because Tom has that one and he doesn't really like the gold color. But the black and the white, well, the white looks more like a golf ball, but the black one looks nice to me. As far as like performance goes, I still think the HTC One is a little bit faster, and I'm guessing that's due to software optimization.
It's probably down to just Sense versus TouchWiz in general.
Yeah, I mean, like not just the camera. Like the camera on the M8 is faster, like taking pictures, but just like doing normal things in here, like pressing the recents button to change the apps and stuff. It's a little bit slower. It's not terrible, so most people probably won't notice. I probably only notice because I use all these phones like all the time. But for everybody else, they probably won't notice. The camera, I know Nick doesn't like it too much, but I think it's good. Not the best as Samsung is saying it is. The selective focus thing is a little difficult to do, especially if you're holding something that you're holding like something in front of it and you're trying to get the focus because you have to tap on it, then hold it still and move over to the shutter button to take the picture. Doesn't always work that well.
Yeah.
Battery life too, it just hasn't been that good for me. I don't know if it's because I'm spoiled by the G2's battery life or what, but it just, I mean, they're on the same network, so it's not a thing about signal or anything. So I don't know. Some people are getting like 5-6 hours of on-screen time, and I was getting like 2 to 3 for a whole day, but I don't sit on my phone all day anyway, so.
Yeah, and the 2 to 3 is right in line with what I get with the Note 3.
Yeah. Because
I think today I was at like just at 3, and it died.
I usually unplug it like around 8 or 9 in the morning, then plug it in at about midnight or so, and get about 2-3 hours in between that of on-screen time. It's all on Wi-Fi too, so that's not even the reason either.
Yeah.
What else? Oh, the fingerprint reader. That thing.
They actually opened that up today. God, if I can remember the app, I have to look it up.
LastPass.
That's what it was.
LastPass.
Yeah.
Because Verizon blocked PayPal on their S5. I don't know why.
Verizon.
It doesn't even make sense.
Verizon.
Pretty much.
I think that's all that needs to be said at this point. Just about anything that they do doesn't make sense in that regard.
Yeah, I mean, it's a pretty nice device. I was actually pleasantly surprised with the Galaxy S5 because everybody knows I'm not a huge Samsung fan like some other people, but I could use it every day, but I just don't want to.
Yeah.
And it's probably mostly because of the battery life. Oh, that and the physical home button. I've never liked that either.
Yeah, it just seems to me like if you like Samsung stuff and like the way they've been doing it, you'll feel right at home. If you're getting sick of them like I am, or you hate them in general like some other people out there are, this probably isn't going to help.
Yeah. If you're on the S4, I wouldn't say upgrade because it's not a huge upgrade. But it is a nice phone, so there's that. And I think it's on sale for like $149 on contract on Amazon right now from all the carriers, well, except for T-Mobile.
Yeah, you can't get T-Mobile through anything but them anymore. So
unless you do prepaid, because then you're buying a phone outright. So
yeah. What are you gonna do? The camera on it. I know Tom did that particular little review on the camera, just sort of the in-depth looking at the software and a bunch of different things. I know I was really impressed with the pictures Tony took. I know a lot of Tom's look really good. Some of them didn't look so great. It has nothing to do with Tom. And it's all down to like the same stuff that I see on the Note 3. It's like if you don't hold the thing steady, it's blurry. If there's any kind of action or anything, you get blurry stuff. A lot of things tend to be over bright. And then it seems, at least looking to me, like they fixed a little bit of the noise that they used to have, at least on the Note 3. When you zoom into like a full 100% crop, there used to be a lot of noise. But the low light, the M8 seems to just slaughter the S5 when it comes to low light pictures.
yeah, because I did a comparison between the M8 and the S5, and I'd say the S5 was pretty close to the M8 in most like outdoors and indoors, but then low light, man, the M8 just crushes it. I mean, they both don't look too good, but the M8 is so much better.
Yeah. And I think it's, at least for me, it was pretty telling to see pictures of the M8 versus the S5, and the M8 even holding up to it at all in most situations, given the fact that the S5's sensor is 4 times the pixel count.
Yep.
So I know megapixels aren't everything. I will be the first to tell anybody that when they're looking for camera stuff, but man, that's just bad.
I still have to do the G2 versus the S5, and that one's going to be interesting.
Yes, that one I'm really looking forward to.
Because the G2 camera is pretty good, and I think that surprised everyone because they don't do cameras. Samsung actually does cameras.
Yep.
So Sony does too, and neither one of them really. Sony has adequate cameras in their devices, but they're not as good as we hope they'd be. Like, it wouldn't replace my RX100. That's from Sony, but it's probably close.
Yeah, I think I know that's what I'm hoping for, at least on one of these devices, maybe this year. Maybe I'll be surprised with the OnePlus One. The stuff I've seen out of samples that people have taken on that are pretty excellent, but I got to see more real-world type of reviews for that. And then the Z2 got that that award for basically best phone camera ever, and that's going over everything too, iPhone, etc.
Yeah, iPhone always has a good camera. That's why I hate it.
Yeah, well, that's something they sort of started with the 4S, I think. Because before that, they were always just passable at best.
And the funny thing about that is that Sony makes the sensor.
Yep.
So it's a lot of post-processing stuff that Apple throws in there, but man, it takes a really good really good pictures. One of my friends has the 5S, and man, his pictures are good, and he's not even like all that good at taking pictures.
Yeah, and and on the same note, I've seen some incredible shots out of the Z2. Like, I know I have no idea where it was, but I saw this blog post from somebody who went to Tokyo, and they took like all these night shots, and I mean, you would have no idea they came from a phone. They're unbelievable pictures.
Yeah.
Just everything about them. I don't know. And the software is absolutely what makes the biggest difference, because a lot of these phones share the same sensors, and a lot of them are made by Sony.
I think pretty much all of them, except for probably Samsung's, are made by Sony.
Yep.
HTC, I'm not sure. That one might be Toshiba, because I know they have a dual camera module that they developed.
Yeah, HTC, it's some company that I had never heard of before. I started looking stuff up for it. I can't even remember the name of it now. I can look it up, but whatever.
Yeah, but Sony probably has about 80-90% of the smartphone cameras that are out there. And they're just so much different. I'm pretty sure Motorola doesn't use Sony, though, because they've just always been terrible.
Yeah. I don't know. This seems to be a year where we're really going to get some special stuff out of these cameras.
I mean, we're seeing everybody go to 16 and 20 megapixel cameras on the back of phones. It's crazy.
Yep.
Because, I mean, my camera is only a 20 megapixel only. and it's a high-end point and shoot.
Yep. Yeah, and Steven just added about the Galaxy K zoom. That was something that Samsung just announced last night. And instead of what they did last year, where we had the S4 zoom, that was kind of a confusing product because it wasn't an S4. They decided to rebrand this Galaxy K. So it basically looks very similar to Galaxy S5. It's got a 20 megapixel camera on the back with a 10x optical zoom.
Yep.
So it looks like a point and shoot on the back. And then you flip it around to the front, and it's a 4.8 inch, I believe, screen, 720p screen.
Yep, and it's got their hexa-core processor, so it's a quad-core 1.3 gigahertz processor and a dual-core 1.7 in this Exynos, which surprisingly supports LTE according to the specs.
Yep. Every now and then they pump out one with LTE. It happened with the Note 2.
But it's
rare.
never high. It's not really usually a high-end device, though. Yeah, it's in the last year or so.
It's rare, but it happens every now and then. It actually looks like a pretty awesome device.
I mean,
that's
the
another
back,
one where I'm gonna wait.
The back is the same as the S5 too, which it actually looks kind of cool on that.
It does. I think the giant optical lens on the thing helps a lot. Yeah. I don't know, especially with that styling.
It seems like the lens isn't as big of a bump as it was last year. Because last year was just such a big bump on the back. I think Tom reviewed it for us last year, and he hated taking phone calls on that thing.
Yeah, it did not look comfortable. This thing basically looks like a thick phone. It kind of reminds me a lot of, I used to have a Nokia N95. It reminds me a little bit of that. Sort of just kind of a thick phone. It's not really, you're holding up to your head, you're not going to care that much. It's not too awkward. And then, of course, the optical zoom, once you turn it on, it comes out like a regular point-and-shoot camera would.
Yeah.
I don't know about pictures. I know I was not impressed at all with the S4 zoom's pictures. They looked pretty much like crap no matter what you did. The only advantage was the fact that you have a 10x optical zoom. So, you can look at stuff pretty far away.
I'm still trying to figure out, why do we have a Galaxy K zoom or do we have a Galaxy Camera 2 when the specs are basically the same, except for the hexa-core processor and the K zoom and the Galaxy Camera, I think, is a quad-core or octa-core processor.
You can't really use the camera as a phone, though, right?
The Galaxy Camera, not really.
I didn't think you could. That's probably. I mean, how many devices Samsung puts out. I know I saw some silly infographic today on Google Plus. It says I can't believe Samsung will leave an inch between devices, and it's got every device they've released in the last year, and they're all a centimeter apart, except for the Galaxy Tab 8 and 10.
Yeah. I'm waiting for the new Galaxy Mega because I actually liked the 6.3-inch one last year.
Nice.
I mean, it was huge, but I actually did see one of those out in the wild, though.
I have seen a couple. I was very surprised. I think being free on contract helps a lot.
Yeah.
Because I know they're free on AT&T. Because
I saw somebody walking towards me, this big phone in his hands. I'm like, is that the Note 3?
I did the same thing.
That's too big to be the Note 3. That's the Galaxy Mega. And then I was looking
at my phone, and I'm looking at his. I'm like, no, that's got to be a Mega. That's too big.
And the thing is, I had the Mega in my hands because I was reviewing it at the time, so that person got it within a week or two of it launching.
Yeah, and it was a pretty decent phone too. I mean, it wasn't quite as high spec, I think, as some of the other stuff out, but it was pretty close.
It had a 720p display, which I thought would be just terrible on 6.3 inches.
Yeah,
it wasn't bad at all, and I don't even like AMOLED displays, so that tells you something.
Yep, when they do them right, they look good.
Oh yeah, the S5 looks good, but I still like the IPS on the G2 and even the Super LCD on the M8 better.
Yep. Yeah, we'll see. Same with the OnePlus and the Oppo. I haven't seen the displays on those, but I know those are IPS. So if you like that sort of display, that's another one for you.
Yeah, the IPS ones are pretty good.
Yeah. It says your brightness and what's the word I'm looking for? Looking from the side. It escapes me.
The viewing angles.
Yeah, thank you. I'm brain dead. My bad.
The That's how Sony fixed the Z2 by switching over to IPS.
Yes, I do recall the awful viewing angles in the ones before.
The Z1S was so bad. I think also getting rid of that permanent screen protector helped out. Because, you know, they had that permanent screen protector that you couldn't really take off, but then a lot of people still did.
Yeah.
And that thing was... What was that, like, melted onto the screen or something? I don't even know how they did that.
Probably.
I don't even know what the point was, because, I mean, it was supposed to be, like, shatterproof, but it wasn't, because people still shattered their phones.
Yeah, well, you break anything. I mean, I'm sure even some of the other ones that I've seen, like the hardened phones, I guarantee those break during some points too. Speaking of the S4 from earlier, we have the KitKat stuff on here for Verizon. Look like they're finally pushing that stuff out. They seem to be a little slow with the KitKat stuff. I know the G2 got it as well in the last week. Wasn't it the last week or was it the last 2 weeks? The Verizon G2 got it.
I know it was this month. Because it sat on their servers for a while before they actually pushed it out. Kind of like what happened with the G2 for T-Mobile.
Yep.
Is it sat on LG's server before T-Mobile finally decided to push it out. So people were downloading it through LG software and manually flashing it.
Yep. Yeah, I remember seeing that.
Lots of KitKat updates going out now. We've got the Galaxy S4 and the Droid DNA on Verizon getting it this week, or this weekend last week.
Yeah, it seems like Verizon's been sitting on those KitKat updates for a while or something.
It's nice to see that DNA get it because it was still on 4.2.
Yeah.
They skipped 4.3.
HTC has been better with that stuff.
It's not always a good thing though when OEM says we're not going to give you this version of Android. I mean, that usually means no more updates, but not in this case.
Yeah. Yep. Well, and that's for anybody that's got that, I'm sure it gives a nice little speed boost too.
Yeah, they need a successor to that over here. I know the Butterfly's gotten like 2 more versions since the DNA came out, but it's not over here.
Yeah.
That's
awesome. Yeah. Well, now that Motorola's not going to be doing all the Droid stuff for Verizon, maybe we'll see HTC do it again.
No, Motorola has the exclusive on it.
Do they still? Because I thought this past year was the last time that they were going to have the exclusive on it.
They actually announced that they have it now, like when they announced the Droids last year. I think Verizon said it lasts for a couple of years. And probably once that contract or whatever goes away, it'll probably be done for Droid line. Because like all the other lines are done. The Evo, the Atrix, the Photon.
Yep. All the original ones like that, exactly.
The MyTouch.
Yeah. MyTouch didn't last very long. They kind of ruined that themselves.
It was what, HTC and Huawei that did them?
I think HTC did it 2 or 3 years in a row, right?
I don't remember exactly. I just know Huawei did one of them, and nobody really knows who they are.
They did. The cheap ones. Yeah, the Huawei ones were like mid to low range ones. It was weird. It was like they decided, we're going to take our big brand and just make it a budget brand.
Yeah.
It made no sense at all.
Well, that's all they're doing in the U.S. right now is they're bringing their stuff over here as on prepaid carriers. Same with ZTE.
Yep.
Which is, I guess, is better than nothing. But the Ascend Mate 2 is supposed to be coming over here, so.
It's like the Xperia, right? I mean, I guess we can order it, but.
Yeah.
It is what it is. And that's about it for this week. Unless you have anything else that you wanted to add. I don't think I saw anything else come up in the last hour since we've been doing this.
I don't have anything else.
Yeah, not too bad. You got anything new? We'll do our little what's new in your Android world thing now.
I got a couple cases for the Galaxy S5. They're actually battery cases. So we've got one here. It's I think it's 3500. Yeah, this one's a 3500 milliamp case. It's got the USB 3.0 port down there and the battery indicator shows you how much time is left, and it also has USB 3.0 under there, so that you can still charge it with the same charger. And then, well, it has a kickstand on the back too that can come out. I'm not sure if you can see it because of all the white. And then there's another one with a cover. It's got the flip cover, kind of like what Samsung sells. This one is a 4200, I believe, milliamp, or 4800 milliamp, even better. And it also has the USB 3.0 down here with the battery indicator and USB 3.0 to charge it, and kickstand on the back. This one is soft touch. The white one is the glossy plastic that Samsung uses for the last few years. And I think that's it, actually.
Not bad. I think for me, the only thing new that I can remember, there was a new calendar that came out. It's actually in beta right now. It's called Sunrise. Apparently, it was a popular iOS calendar. I always like these kind of things because a lot of calendars out there are, quite frankly, pretty terrible. I hate Google Calendar's layout. So I know anytime I use like a Nexus device or something, if I'm going to have to use it, I got to get rid of that Google Calendar. I got to get something else. So this thing, I don't know, I've only started using it for a few hours. I like a lot of little things about it. The default view is basically shows you like a little 2-week time span. I don't know, I'd hold up the camera, but you probably can't see it real well. You can check it out on Google Plus. You have to sign up for the beta. But basically, it shows a little 2-week time span, and it's got like a timeline down there. As you scroll, it highlights the different dates. I don't know, it's a good layout. I've been enjoying it. Not a whole lot of features other than that. I don't know what else you're really looking for a calendar app, but it does what it's supposed to, and it's pretty clean. So if you want to go into the beta, I don't know if we have a post on it or not. I can't remember if that went through today or not, but you can check it out on Google Plus on their page. You just join the community, and then once you do it, it gives you a Play Store link, and you download it. It's free for now.
For now.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I didn't look it up on iOS to see what they charge for it, but that doesn't really mean anything. There's plenty of stuff that you have to pay for on iOS that you don't on Android. So I expect it'll probably be like $2 or something, though.
Yeah, it'll probably have like a in-app purchase to add something or remove something.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't know. Check it out if you're looking for calendar apps. I find it to be a pretty nice one. That does it for me, though.
There's actually one other thing I wanted to show. It's a new icon pack that I'm actually using right now. Not sure how well it's gonna show up in here.
Yeah, I can see it.
This one is a Velar, I think is how you pronounce it. VLUR.
That's right. I saw you put that on there this week.
Yeah, it launched on Sunday. It's kind of like a mixture between moonshine and I guess like three-dimensional icons. It's a really nice app, or the icons are really nice. The app's an icon pack app. I mean, not much to say about that. It has like 31 HD wallpapers.
Yep. It's up to 41 now. I'm looking at the page now.
Oh yeah, which this is actually one of the wallpapers right here, and I've been using it since the minute it went live. Actually, it's like $1.50 in the Play Store.
Yep. Yeah, it's 1200 HD icons. It says, which that's pretty nice for an icon pack. Some of them only have a couple hundred. And I know I have like a dozen different icon packs. It's nice to have these things.
Yeah, I think I bought like 4 or 5 in the last week or two.
Yep.
And all from like 1 or 2 developers. So.
Oh yeah. Well, once you find one developer that you like, usually they have a couple, and they're similarly styled but different enough to merit the fact that it's a different icon pack.
Yeah, because I was using Crichton, and then the developer for that one, well, he also did Velar, or however you say it, and you started teasing that, and I'm like, oh, I gotta have these two. So I started reposting them for other people. He has another one.
It's really clean.
It's like a glow-in-the-dark type icon pack that he's working on. I believe it's him. I'm following a bunch of Android themers now, so sometimes I get them.
These are nice. I'm looking at his other ones now, the Crichton one that you were talking about. I like that. I've been looking for kind of a muted one for some of my wallpapers and stuff.
Yeah, the pastels are really nice, I think.
Yeah. And that one's on sale for $1 right now too. A bunch of his are on sale actually.
Yeah, I got that one for $1 too.
Not bad. I like it. Between that and live wallpapers, I'll tell you what. Always looking for new stuff. Shake your head, shake your head. Yeah. All right. Well, that's it. So that's it. Then we'll have a good night, and I'll see you next week.
See you guys.